Dude, that worked. It's my new Roadcaster podcast system. Chris Sanchez, Paul Rodriguez. First ever Recon podcast, Paul. I just kind of started it right off, and my mic just cut off. And there's going to be some, there's going to be a little bit of trial and error here. We're sitting in basically my dining room right now trying to record this. I'm having a lot of fun. I've been giddy. I know we've been working on this for a real long time. Paul, what are you thinking so far here in the first 50 seconds?
Well, I mean, I think your face said it all earlier whenever I took that quick photo of you. And I think giddy's the right word to describe the way I think we both are feeling. I'm trying to be a little bit more composed, but man, I'm excited. I think I've had a smile on my face ever since we kind of got the lights lit up and kind of the audio to kind of work properly, which really only took one take. And it was really quick, and the setup was extremely phenomenally easy, in my opinion. Just plug and play nearly.
Yeah, and that's what I kind of got this. Shout out to Casey Johns, Fanstan ATX. He was actually the one that, told me about this. I was like, hey, man, like if I were to try to get a podcast system, what do you think I should get? And Casey was pretty much like, oh, well, this Roadcaster podcast, this is going to be everything you need. And me, I'm just like technically pretty much illiterate, ignorant, all the I words. But this was, and Casey knows that. Shout out to Casey, producer extraordinaire. He was like, dude, get this thing and you'll be good to go. And pretty much it was a plug and play kind of thing. I mean, I had to play a little bit,
right?
But we got it going, and we're recording right now. So that's cool.
We're pretty much on like a 3 to 4 month window of time that's come to fruition, and everything is just, I think, personally working out phenomenally of how the audio is set up. We're gearing up for the 2019 football season, the inaugural Recon podcast, which is to me just a phenomenal idea that's been in the works. Recon's been in the works for over 5 years. It was a dream that I put out on paper, and I found the right people to work with together, and we made it a dream come true. And so I'm excited for this to be the launch and the kickoff here with Chris Country Breakfast Sanchez.
Yeah, so Recon, and basically what we're going to try to do this year is obviously cover high school football here in the Central Texas area. All right, it's been saturated right now. We've got Fanstan ATX, which I myself and you were a part of. The basically birth of Fanstan back when it was called Friday Night Fanstan back in the day. You know what? We're kind of trying to go out on our own. I feel like a little birdie. Like with the mama bird being Fanstan ATX, and I'm trying to, get my wings and fly. And I think that's what we're trying to do here with Recon. But with, all the great high school coverage, we were just listening to IHS fan, Rick Epstein and those guys. You got to shout out Rob Hipp and SHN.
Right.
You got to shout out K-Mac and Vipe and, Chuck Licata. We've worked with so many great people here in the Central Texas area over the years, Paul, that, we were just kind of like, hey, maybe we should try this on our own and see what happens. So I think that's basically what Recon is. We're going to talk about area high school football, of course, but we might get into other stuff. We never know what we're going to talk about. So we can talk fantasy football, we can talk college. I don't know. This is our podcast,
right?
So we can talk whatever we want.
And it's a wonderful gift, and it's a wonderful thing that I think we're going to be able to share and grow for years to come. Having this type of ability, this vehicle that allows us to kind of let our voice be independent and unfiltered, but also keeping in mind with the standards of what we want to represent as Recon, I think is a very awesome thing that we can do. And it's going to be a big thing to highlight the student athlete, and that's my biggest mission, is to create a voice for the student athletes who don't have a voice, because we all know what the D1 athletes and the FCS athletes look like, but those student athletes who are D2 athletes, or who may be just developing a little bit later in life and getting to high school football or high school athletics to their junior and senior year, but have that ability, those are the people that we want to expose, we want to shed a light on, and give them a voice in this extremely saturated athletic arena that we're all operating in.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'll tell you what, Well, let's just go ahead and get into it, Paul. I mean, we talked to Snoop Daniels actually lives in that room over there. He was on with Rick Epstein and Under the Lights, and they were talking a little bit about some area quarterbacks and some guys that they're kind of looking forward to. I'm going to go ahead and say Westwood Warriors, RJ Martinez, my dude, great quarterback, has all the skill in the world. Right now, my concern with him is who he's going to throw to. I watched him over 7-on-7. He can make the reads. He can make the throws. He can do all of that. He's got a great running back behind him in Nate Anderson, but he's going to have to find some really good receivers. I know he's got some guys there, that he can throw to, but you don't really have that guy that can open up the top, as they like to say. So, shout out to RJ, and I'm really interested to see what he does this junior year to get ready for his senior year, because Coach Wood, as we know, always has great quarterbacks, going in through the years. So I think really with RJ, I think that kind of bought Coach Wood like another 2 years. He might have been, thinking about retirement. I mean, he's been there for so long.
Yeah, definitely. And I think the biggest highlight that people want to look at is RJ Martinez has all the ability in the world, but I think it's gonna fall on his offensive line, and of course with Nate Anderson getting him out of, I think, really third and mediums. Mm-hmm. But his go-to guys are going to be Oliver Yu and Robbie Jang. Yeah. And those guys, Jang is going to be a junior and Yu's a senior, so he's going to have a little bit more of that leadership role. But if they can stay in games, and that they're going to be relying a lot on their defense to do that, but if third downs, third and mediums can get completed, third and shorts can get completed, get the sticks moving, I think Westwood could contend for possibly that last playoff spot. But it's a tough district in that 16 or that 13-6A for the whole team to kind of compete in.
Yeah, and that's going to be the thing, is they're going to have to get that run game going, like you said. I mean, Nate Anderson, get that run game going, get them into those short yardage third downs. Maybe in a short yardage second down, so you can maybe try to take a shot down the field. So we'll see what happens with that and with Westwood, but class of 98, shout out my Warriors. If you listen to Fan Stand ATX over the years, I'm always talking about my Westwood Warriors, so I had to start off with them, Paul.
Hey,
I mean, can you blame me?
No.
Paul, I'll let you go ahead and pick the next team that you want to highlight right now.
Well, I just want to keep it. I want to keep it in that same district with 13-6A and Cedar Ridge. I mean, the guys over at IHSN, they had on Deuce of there earlier, and Deuce Vaughn, guy was a player of the week whenever they played last season, and I think that his front five, his linemen, have been able to expose a lot of gaps, especially in the second level of the defense that they're coming across. And that NASCAR game that they played against Round Rock last week was just tremendous.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I'll tell you what, it's going to be real cool to watch that scrimmage with them, Cedar Ridge and Lake Travis, and that's going to be on Friday night, the 22nd. Hopefully this podcast gets out there before that.
True.
If not, I just added a marker so I could edit out that part.
I got you.
But I do want to see, how Cedar Ridge can match up with a Lake Travis. I mean, Cedar Ridge over the years have been able, or they've been there. They've been almost to that point where they're getting to maybe a state semifinal, maybe trying to get to a point where they're going to be in a possible state championship. In the 6A level, you got to be the cream of the crop. I mean, you have to be pretty much Lake Travis or Westlake, and those are the cream of the crop here in the Austin area. Cedar Ridge trying to get there. They have the ability. There's just that one extra little step that they have to get past, and I think it's really great that they choose Lake Travis to scrimmage to get ready for this season. I think that's a very good move by the head coach.
Yeah, it's a great litmus test to kind of see where his team is coming off of 2-a-days and also 7-on-7 from the summertime. But the defense and kind of transitioning to Lake Travis and understanding what that name really means. What I've been telling people over the summer is we are in, I think Snoop Daniels, he coined the term, we're in the golden age. And what I really think is we're in the pantheon. We're in the pantheon of Austin, Texas's ability to produce high-level D1 talent. And it's like you said, if you're not the creme de la creme, you're probably not going to get out of the by-district round. And a lot of the Austin teams have found that out when they're going up against Westlake and Lake Travis in that first round. But it's going to be a very tough, difficult road if the front five for Cedar Ridge can't get that line together, because I think that's going to be the catalyst. How their season goes is how the offensive line is going to go.
Yeah, and that's going to be huge for Lake Travis, for Cedar Ridge, for any of these teams that are coming up, is those offensive lines. And a lot of times those offensive lines kind of undersized in this area. One team that it's not undersized is the Round Rock Dragons. They have a huge offensive line. Those guys are going to be, I think they'll be able to compete. If they get to that level, they'll be able to compete with the D lines that you see from Dallas and the Houston area, northern San Antonio, which is, we say San Antonio, but we're really talking Cibolo Steel,
Converse Judson,
Schertz Clemens, those kind of teams up there. But you have to have those guys in the trenches, those guys up front, or else you're not going to, if you're not controlling that line of scrimmage, Paul. I mean, this. You're a former D lineman. D-line. I'm a former D lineman. Even though if you see me, you wouldn't think that.
I mean, yeah, you see me, you know.
That's where it's at. I mean, that's where the game is played. I mean, I know with the way 7-on-7 is now, and how we the spotlights on the quarterbacks and receivers and all that. But where you win the football games is down there in the trenches, bro.
Look, it's all about trench warfare, and trench work is going to be handled on a weekly basis. The Dragons, they got the second coming, in my opinion, is Spencer Durango. He's playing in the NFL, formerly with the Cleveland Browns, and a lot of people, y'all know the name the Cleveland Browns with a certain quarterback from Lake Travis. But what I want to expose is Beck Kepperman. Beck Kepperman is going to lead the Round Rock Dragons in their offensive line. He's starting, I believe, right tackle at this time, and he's going to be the guy to lead the Dragons in their campaign for the 2019 season. So I'm looking for big things to come out with him. Everybody knows Colin Sullivan, the senior receiver coming out for the Round Rock Dragons. So I expect a good showing for them. Some people have them picked to win the district. It'll be interesting to see how that goes. But if you got the line, you can make things happen. Yeah, you really can. And if you have the depth in the line too. Can we pause? We got Lucero on the line. Yeah. What's up, man? You're on the podcast right now.
What's up? I'm about to say all the cuss words I know.
Yeah, go ahead.
In English or Spanish?
And that's those for in Portuguese.
Ah, Portugués.
Hey, that show's pretty trash, huh?
Yeah, it is.
Yes.
Yeah, it is. That's all right. But whatever, dude. I mean, he tries. Hey, he's on the radio. We're not.
Yeah. When are we gonna start Over the Darkness?
Dude. I mean, we're recording a podcast right now, bro. You didn't see the picture?
You're on the podcast right now.
Well, I thought you were lying because I figured you would have told me in advance to come.
No, bro. We're just testing it. This is the first time we're using the equipment tonight, so we're just trying to see if it works and if I can edit it and make it sound okay.
What are you gonna use?
Dude, I got a Rodecaster podcast system. It's awesome.
And can you edit it on there and stuff too?
Well, yeah, I can just pull it off of an SD card and put it on my laptop. I got Adobe Audition.
Oh, you got Audition? Did you steal it? Yeah. Bro, I'll be down to come every week, every time y'all do an episode. You better not call me a guest. I want to be
co-host.
Known as
your co-host.
Yeah. I want to be known as the fucking your side piece. So that's like a bad one.
A what?
I want to be known as your side piece because I know Paul's your main bitch.
Okay.
How's the Recon stuff doing on social media? How's the
that's Paul question.
Getting out there a lot?
Paul.
Yeah, man, we're doing. I think we're doing pretty good. We have a lot of engagement with of course the more high profile schools. So if the Westlakes, the Lake Travises, LBJ does pretty good. So basically, the more participation the school has, the better the Instagram posts are kind of are engaging the individuals. But I'm also posting simultaneously on Instagram and Facebook, and I tried to do it 3 ways with the Twitter, but it just doesn't come out the right way on Twitter. So kind of have to do that individually. But we're getting engagements that are bringing people new followers. So in April we started out with 0. And right now we're at 94 organic followers.
Well, if y'all want to do a thing, then y'all going to go to games?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's our plan.
Yeah. Go to games. We want to try to do one during the week, possibly one podcast during the week and one in the weekend. Do like 2 a week.
Two podcasts per week, and then one game, probably 2 games. I'm gonna probably do 2 games during the week, so half Friday.
Are y'all gonna do like interviews at the games or strictly highlights or what's up?
I don't know. I haven't really figured that out yet. But yeah, I mean, we could probably. I mean, with this equipment, I could probably record some stuff off the. I could probably ask Rob Hipp and whoever if we can use some of their highlights. I'm sure they'd be cool with it because I could probably record it off an Audition and I can load it up once I figure out how to do it. I can load it up on the podcast. It's got a bunch of hotkeys on it on the mixer.
Yeah, and I was thinking like you could do like interviews during the week even.
Yeah.
And then like air those on the podcast.
Oh yeah.
Or like I could do interviews at games.
Okay.
And then we could either post them on social media or just use the audio or both and just use the audio on the podcast.
Yeah, for sure, dude. This is kind of like the fan stand almost, like fan stand reborn, but except we're gonna own it.
Yeah, we're not gonna be employees.
So
well, man, I'll be at Cedar Park Vandy next Friday. So if
all right,
come to that game, I'll see y'all there. If not, let me know if you want me to grab some interviews or I can use that coach, the audio I do with Coach. I can give that to y'all too.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, man. Whatever you want to do, man. We'll take it all, man. We'll use it all too.
It'll be
whenever y'all.
Yeah, you'll be promoted.
I'm excited. I actually got a promotion at work a month ago, so that's cool too.
Oh, word, man. Congrats.
Thank you. Paul.
Felicidades.
I just want to do a say congrats because Chris did. But
that's that sugar for you right there.
Hey, just let me know when y'all can record and I'll pull up. Paul's gotta have the candies ready and I'll be there.
All right. I don't know. Maybe Saturday?
I'm gonna be
Paul's
out of town.
Paul's out of town this weekend, so maybe next Monday or Tuesday.
Well, yeah. Well, we'll figure it all out.
All right, man. Cool.
All right. I'll talk to y'all later.
All right, bro.
Welcome aboard.
Later.
Yeah. Bye. Thank you.
Well, that was Zach Lucero, the newest co-host of the Recon podcast, coming live over the airwaves.
Yeah. Where were we? Oh, yeah. We were talking, I think you were talking D lineman.
Hutto.
You were talking Hutto.
Right,
yeah.
right.
So let me add that marker right there. So you were talking Hutto before we got so rudely interrupted by our new co-host, Zach Lucero, or AKA Side Piece, as he wants to be referred to.
The sweetness.
The sugar.
Azúcar.
Anyways,
that's what it's going to be from now on.
Yeah. So Hutto Hippo's D line, Paul.
Right. I think they have the best D line in this area just because of the kind of the pure athleticism that they're kind of contributing with. These guys are all coming up seniors, so they're led by Landon Watson, who's the LSU commit, and he just committed a few weeks ago on the 29th of July. And I've watched a couple of his highlight reels, and the guy's got a great first step. He's going to probably play weak side defensive end, but I'm just totally impressed on his first step and the get off. And if anybody's going to be playing for Coach O at LSU, they're looking for a guy like this who's just going to come in and just probably be the top D lineman in this area. Maybe Princely at Manor is probably a little bit different. He's a little bigger. He's more of a 3 technique. But, I mean, the D line, I think, is going to be the next big push. I got a feeling he's another Chooks guy. Shout out to Chook Speed. The Chook Speed's got a plethora of D1 talent that he's molding right now.
Oh, yeah.
So I'm kind of looking forward to Hutto doing a big thing. Brock Bueno. It's not Bueno like Spanish, but that's just how you pronounce it. I was listening to the guys over at IHN tonight, and they were just boasting. Our coach LaPlante was boasting how the kid can play everywhere, and he's probably their backup quarterback if they get in a bind. And Grayson Dockett's a new quarterback out there as well, so it's going to be a big thing for them filling those shoes from Chase. So it'll be big time for Grayson to kind of transition into that number one role.
Yeah, and it's going to be interesting for me to see what Hutto Hippos do now. I mean, you lost a lot of talent out in Hutto, man, but it seems like D1 talent, but it seems like they're just kind of re-upping here, man. I mean, they ran out of the goods, and it's just like, you got to call your boy down the street and say, hey, man, I got to re-up. And that's basically what they're doing. They got everybody, all of the major skill positions, they got somebody stepping up. So the Hutto Hippos, I don't think they're going to – really it's just going to be – just a little transition period, maybe for these young guys to get used to the lights.
Chemistry. I think chemistry may be their biggest hurdle, but, man, the talent is there.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'll tell you what, shout out to the Hutto Hippos. And we got, we got a few minutes there of high school football. That's what we're going to do, Paul Wall. I don't want to give away too much tonight. Well, let's leave it there for now. We're going to come back, I believe, Sunday evening, get another Recon podcast. This is just a little bit of a little taste of what you're going to have coming up on Recon. But, with the high school football talk, we're putting it on the back burner right now. But, yeah, Paul Wall, transitioning. The reason why we're going to Sunday, we want to record Friday nights, Saturdays to put these podcasts out. But you're going on a trip for your fantasy football team. You got the number 2 overall pick.
Yeah.
You were concerned earlier.
Yeah.
I was like, Saquon Barkley, Alvin Kamara, what's the big deal? You were like, I'm thinking Zeke. I want to know, and I wanted to ask you this earlier, but I was like, you know what? I'm going to ask him on the podcast.
Right.
Why are you thinking Zeke at number 2?
He said saving it for the show is what he was trying to say. Look, shout out to MFL, group of buddy of mine, and it's 30 deep. We got 30 heads going out to the heinous Texas, out in the middle of nowhere. That's the way we get down. It's been established in 2002. I've been there since 2015, so 15 years doing this fantasy football with the same buddies, guys weekend. But getting back to my fantasy draft order, I'm picking at number 2, and I was telling Chris, I like Kamara, but I'm worried that Latavius Murray is going to be, cutting those reps probably by like 30%. And I just don't know if I like those numbers, especially with Zeke sitting there. I know everybody in Texas is worried about the contract talks. Yeah. I know we got the talking heads on the big brand ESPN and the Fox Sports talking about is Zeke doing what he needs to do? And I got to just say, if Jerry Jones is joking around by saying Zeke who, and I think Jerry's earned the right to do that, and they just got Jalen Smith's starting linebacker Jalen Smith's contract done today. Today is the 21st of August, and I know Dak's contract's out there. You're gonna have to pay the man because we all know what happened in 1994 when Emmitt Smith sat out when the Cowboys just got off their Super Bowl, the first Super Bowl. They're going to pay Zeke. And so I think I might just have to take the 4th best running back, Ezekiel Elliott, number 2 overall in my fantasy draft.
Man, and I think you're crazy for wanting to do that. But you know what? I'll tell you what, Paul. They always say you can go and look at everybody's rankings. You can listen to all the talking heads. You can listen to the prognosticators and look at all the lists and power rankings and everything. But if you have a gut feeling when you're doing your fantasy football draft, you got to go with your gut. All right. So right now, you think Zeke will be, a top 3 running back because that's what you're kind of thinking, right?
Yeah, I think he's a top 3
if you're willing to take him over, number 2 overall, most people say, well, shouldn't it be the top 2 running back? Well,
Christian McCaffrey's ranked number 2 overall, for everybody on the ESPN rankings.
Yeah, so I mean, right now a lot of the rankings go Barkley, McCaffrey, and then Kamara, and then Zeke, David Johnson coming up, 5th usually. Yeah. But I mean, I like that, Paul. I like you're going out on a limb. But you got reasons why.
And then another big reason is because of all of that draft capital in the front line. Because we got 3 number 1 overall picks, in my opinion, a compensatory number 1 pick, and Lael Collins at right tackle, and you got a stopgap at that right guard. Unfortunately, I don't know who he is off the top of my head, but you're gonna have Martin coming back off his injury. You're gonna have the best left tackle in Tyron Smith, and you're gonna have Frederick in the center, to lock up that line. You got 4 number 1 overall picks, or 4 number 1 caliber linemen in the draft. All Zeke has to do is sign, and
I'll tell you what, if you want to be on the Paul Rodriguez train and say, hey, I'm rolling with Zeke even though he's not signed, and you got that feeling, go ahead and do it. I wouldn't do it myself, but, I trust Paul. But
now listen,
I don't trust you that much.
Now listen, if I'm there and it's between Saquon and Zeke, I'm taking Saquon.
Oh, that's true.
I just want to let that be known.
That's true.
Just so I know.
All right. Well, Recon Podcast, first ever. We're going to drop this here hopefully later tonight, early in the morning. Paul Rodriguez, Chris Sanchez. We're going to put this out on different outlets. Paul, let us know where you can find the podcast.
We're going to find tonight, as soon as we get this dropped, you'll find it on youtube.com.
Word. We'll catch you on Sunday. Was it Sunday?
Sunday.
All right. Domingo, the Lord's Day, y'all.